बैंड्रा, ओके। हाँ, सोबो वाला एक्सेंट आ रहा है। ओके। Excited for the podcast?
Yes, very.
Okay. So in office or at home you are?
No, I am currently at home. I'm on a sabbatical at the moment.
Okay, okay.
So, yeah.
Which company as of now you are working?
I was working in the corporate finance department, specializing in M&A for renewable energy RESAS called Radiance Renewables.
Hmm. Okay, okay, nice.
So,
You belong to Mumbai, Maharashtra only?
yes.
मुंबई में वेयर?
I'm at Bandra.
बैंड्रा, ओके। हाँ, सोबो वाला एक्सेंट आ रहा है। ओके। So obviously GLC you are seeking for admission.
Yes, I am. GLC being my first choice and JCCL being my second. Um, but
Okay.
I'm still trying. There is a little bit of clarity I'm still seeking. Um, because given that I have been working in the industry for almost about 8 years now, and
Okay.
now I've taken a sabbatical.
Hmm.
What I am trying to figure out is if there is a way by which I can start doing internships almost as soon as I start college, so
Hmm.
that, I'm trying to bridge the gap between me having to leave work and me actually starting to work again full time. Obviously, now as a lawyer. So I'm just
Hmm.
trying to explore my options if going to GLC is a better option,
Hmm.
so that I can start doing my internships, because I've kind of been told that GLC is a little more lenient when it comes to attendance, so that,
Hmm.
you know, not because I want to leeway from
Hmm.
attending college, but just because I can start doing an internship
Hmm.
um, from early on, as compared to
Okay.
JCCL, Jitendra Chauhan, which requires 75% attendance. So
Hmm.
attending college and um, doing a full-time internship just seems to be a little unfair to both.
Hmm. Okay. I mean, obviously, GLC don't have a attendance issue as such, whereas the GCCL have it. Because one
Yeah.
of my student, she got the GLC, but she took the admission in JCCL because she wanted that attendance ka funda. She want to attend
Mhm.
regularly. Her name
In a
was.
way, I feel the attendance is good because you can attend moot courts and you can attend and you can,
Hmm.
get that actual attention from the faculty, which
Hmm.
kind of helps you, with a better understanding of the subject of the law.
Hmm.
Um, However, I believe that, that could be a better option if you do not have a certain sense of plan in mind,
Hmm.
as to, you know, maybe a minor clarity on what subjects or what departments you want to get into or specialize in, or what are your areas of interest.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
However, when I did land up making this huge career move,
Hmm.
you know, I had to be very certain. So I honestly have been planning this for about 3.5 years, because I've always had interest in the subject of law.
Hmm. Hmm.
It is something that I have been very, very interested in.
Okay.
And, but obviously, since there was a huge opportunity and monetary cost about, of leaving what I was currently doing, I
Hmm.
had to be very certain about not only about studying the law, but also, what I can do further.
What is the end goal?
Um, I think for me, the end goal, more than litigation, would be to have independent corporate practice.
Hmm. Okay.
And prima facie, from what I have been able to understand, I believe international international law, property law, and IPRS is something that interests me more than other subjects. There is obviously M&A, which I have, obviously not from the legal side, but from the commercial side of it. I have worked in M&A for 8 years. So I'm kind of well versed with how M&A dealings are done. So that is an option. But since I've already explored that, I'd want to explore a few of these others before I can land up, choosing either to specialize or choosing to, cater to some of these.
Okay, nice. So after this LLM also you are planning?
Not for the moment,
Hmm.
but like I said, international law is something that I am interested in. So there is a possibility I might give my SQL, which is the registration for the British Bar Council.
Okay. There's a LSAT exam also, I think, for what further I mean, I don't know what is exactly
Right.
exam they take. So there's a LSAT exam, study about it and what are the
Yes.
criteria.
So for the LSAT, I would have to do a full-time course in the UK. Whereas for the SQL, I wouldn't have to do it. I would just have to get registered. Obviously,
Okay.
for the SQL, the requirements are slightly different. You need to have either some sort of education in the UK, or you need to have a few years of practice in your country where you have taken your LLB from, your graduation in law from. And obviously I would have my graduation from India now, and I have previous study experience from the UK. So
Okay.
I am kind of eligible to just get the SQL, which is a 2.5 day oral plus written examination.
Okay.
But that again is a near future goal. It's not something I'm planning to take up immediately. I want to explore all of the subjects that are being taught here. And there has been a circular which was out yesterday or day before, which actually says that there are new subjects that are going to be included starting this academic year.
Okay.
So I'm trying to focus on those as well, because mediation is now going to become a compulsory subject, is what we are being told.
Okay. Okay.
So
A
yeah.
lot more thing. Okay. I mean, along with your law, you want to, I mean, you will be continuing with your job, right? That is how what your plan is.
At the moment, the first preference would be to start taking up an internship, either with a bespoke firm which specializes in one of the departments where I am interested in, exploring my interest. That'll be my first goal if I do get an internship. But if I'm told that, I need to at least finish my first semester or first year of, the 3-year LLB course, and only then from the second year I can take up internships, I will definitely go back to my job.
Wow. Okay. Okay. So I think GLC would be the better option rather than
Yes,
JCCL. Always.
I believe so. Because with the attendance, it will just restrict me, because if there is a situation where I have to go back to my job, working hours are slightly long.
So Poonam Desai, you scored 99.58%.
Yes, sir.
Very first, congratulations for it.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
So you had expected this percentile that aa jayega, ya like
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. In fact, to be very honest with you, I was still in the process of exploring whether or not to do law and whether to make a huge career move.
Okay.
And while I was still doing that, I was exploring. So I landed up going to college. I landed up going to JCCL, since that's the closest to my house, just to be able to find out what is the process and everything, which is when I was told that there is an entrance exam. I didn't even know that there was an entrance exam. And that's when I actually went on to CET Cell's website in the first week of February, to be honest, and realized that the dates are already out. And when I went to JCCL, the one thing I was told was instantly go to Manoeuvre.
Okay.
Because if you are already very late, because people have been planning and preparing for this since December. And if you do want to get a good score, you should go to Manoeuvre. is what I was told by the faculty there.
Okay. Okay.
So immediately I called up the Andheri center.
Okay.
I went up to her the very same day. I was late even for the crash course, the online crash course. I was even late for that because that started 2 weeks before I actually landed up going to her. But the kind of counseling and the kind of comfort that I received from her in 1 hour,
Mm-hmm.
I feel I won my battle at least 20% there.
Mm-hmm.
And because I had very little time and I was getting to studying after 13 years,
Oh.
I really wasn't certain about how I'm going to do it. I had never given a government examination or any sort of entrance examination ever before. So मेरा तो कोई भी expectation नहीं था, very honestly. मैंने decide किया था कि पूरे मन लगा के I will study for that 1 month, give it my best shot. And if I'm not able to clear it, I can always go back to my job and I'll prepare properly and give one next year. मैं actually उस mindset से आई थी. But to be very honest with you, sir, and I'd like to take this opportunity to say that the way she has counseled, not only academically, but the way she has been able to instill that confidence, instill that, reassurance. She's been able to give me the reassurance that I will be able to do it. Trust me, if not for speaking to her once a week or twice in a week, I wouldn't have been able to do this. And secondly, when I was attending the online classes, Azad sir, Rohan sir have been fantastic. And the pre-recorded lectures, they have been such a boon. Pretty much after doing the pre-recorded lectures, because I was late, obviously, and from when I could get in line, attending the live lectures, for a lot of the subjects, it hardly took me any time after that 2-hour session to go back and completely understand the topic, especially for logic. English wasn't so much of a challenge for me. Given my background in English was always fairly, intermediate. English wasn't so much of a challenge for me, but logic definitely was, because it was something very new to me. Eventually when I got and I personally felt it was a matter of practice. The more I practiced it, the better I got at it. Especially with the puzzles, with the the seating arrangement chapter, the puzzles. Those initially I did struggle with, but with practice, it was I could crack the code. GK, all of the notes that were released on static and current GK. Every week there was a PDF that was released for for current affairs. There was a whole lecture, month-on-month lecture for static GK. Given the lack of time, I'm not kidding you, sir, and I'm a little embarrassed to say this, but those are the only MCQs that I had studied. I didn't study anything else.
Although there was a less time for you, but you got the second material for your preparation that helps
I
you.
got material which I believe was the only reason why I have been able to score what I have been able to today.
Great. Nice.
So, and even the support team, I've pretty much called the support team every day for some doubt, for some clarity, because even when I would solve, some of the problems from the books, I didn't understand them. Even from the solution given, I did not understand them. So I would call back the support team. They would pretty much almost instantly get a professor on board to speak to me. अगर तभी उनका क्लास चालू है, जैसे ही क्लास खत्म होता है, या तो रोहन सर या आजाद सर फोन पे आके समझा ही देते थे. Even Nisha ma'am for law. I have never found law to be easier. I think even for the 3 years when I'm going to study law, the kind of she didn't teach us law. She taught us the method to understand law more than anything else. And which I feel was the best way of doing it, because no matter what problem came up, she gave us a method of trying to understand, whether, if it's vicarious liability, whether there is vicarious liability, there isn't vicarious liability. There was a very simple, logical method that she explained to us, that this is a process, where you need to be able to figure out. And
Correct.
if you did that process, law was just logic at the end of it. And I think that is something I'm going to take with myself for the rest of my life, given that I am getting into this field,
Okay.
So
Okay.
I think going to that college, getting the number for Manoeuvre has been one of the best things that did happen to me.
GLC, I think we have done the one podcast with the JCCL, I think. JCCL, yeah. We have
Okay.
done one podcast with them. Yeah. In short, can you explain about your work experience? 8 years work experience you have, as you mentioned earlier.
Yes.
So what kind of a in short? Yeah.
So I am a master's in finance and economics academically from the University of Warwick, UK. And once I came back, for the last 8 years, I have been doing M&A practices, both buy side and sell side. And a large part of my work, especially for the last 4.5 years at my previous workplace, required me to look into legal activities, due diligence processes. So M&A as a whole, the process as a whole, has a very high concentration of legal activities.
Okay.
You have due diligence processes, you have commercial negotiations, dealings, for contracts, your definitive agreements, your share purchase agreements, and things like that.
Right.
So the more and more I started interacting, with lawyers, with the kind of work that they did, I think my interest in the subject grew manifolds.
Okay.
And I think where I am going today is also to do a lot with where I'm coming from.
Okay. So out of these 4 sections, like logical reasoning, legal, GK, and your English, which section you found, okay, this is the difficult section, or I'm not much comfortable with?
Initially, it was logic, because it was not something that I had done ever before. But as and when I started attending the live lectures, and as and when I was explained what it meant and how to do it, I think the subject over a period started getting not only very, very simple for me, but also started getting very, very interesting for me. So, at a time when my brain was a little exhausted and I couldn't do anything else, I would then go back to logic. I really started enjoying the subject. But initially, in my initial about, I think, 15 days, logic was the difficult section for me. English was never really a challenge for me. I honestly didn't find it to be a challenge, whether it's comprehension or whether it was the antonyms and synonyms. I didn't find it to be too much of a challenge. So I was okay there. GK, given the sheer magnitude of the subject, I feel, no matter how much you did, it was never enough, So I always
It is a vast area.
It's a very vast area, and especially when it comes to static GK. Current affairs, obviously, because you're reading the newspaper, you're watching the news channels, you're kind of aware about what is happening. Current affairs was still okay for me.
News channel will not give the GK data. Anyways, but yeah, current affairs kind of videos we were posting on the on the dashboard and the handouts.
That completely helped me. Like I said earlier as well, because I had very little time. I started preparing only from second week of Feb, which was literally 1 month and 6 days, from the examination.
I must appreciate in the less time you have very well prepared and you have performed well. So,
Thank you.
I mean,
Yeah.
it is commendable, like 99.58 percentile hitting within 45 days. I think if you have started March with the exam nita, around
Yeah.
45 days. So, which
Yeah.
is actually commendable. I mean, you have must have given your 8, 9 hours, 10 hours. कितने 10 hours की study होती थी?
नहीं, actually, sir, नहीं होती थी because I was still working. I didn't get a break from work.
Oh, that time also you were working.
I was working, sir.
So 3, 4 hours maximum.
Maximum. And obviously, there was a little leeway that office gave me because they were very supportive. So, towards the end, I gave in about 6, 7 hours, but I was still working. Yes.
Okay. So you have taken sabbatical of how many months? Like,
So at the moment, what I have spoken to them is that I've kind of given my resignation, but I had the option of always going back. They
okay,
kept that option open for me.
okay.
Since I have been with the company since its inception, I have been
Oh,
given that option from office to go
it,
back
okay.
if I choose to.
Mm-hmm.
However, my first preference would be to take up an internship because theory and practical is very
Obviously,
different in
it is
law.
pole apart,
It
obviously.
is poles apart, and which is why, um, if I was a fresher, I might have found it a little more difficult to find an internship immediately. But
Hmm.
given that there is a certain amount of work experience and relevant work experience in the
Hmm.
past,
Hmm.
I am hoping to be able to start getting work experience as soon as college starts, or maybe a little after college starts.
Hmm.
So
Okay,
that maybe my gap between my previous job and my next job is as small as possible.
okay. Obviously, you have to, I mean, you have to balance all those things which you are.
Yes, yes, yes. My
Ah.
situation is a little different from what maybe,
Mm-hmm. General
other.
students have, yeah,
Yeah,
obviously.
yeah.
So how many mock tests you have appeared?
Um, I've appeared for 14 mock tests,
Okay. And what was the highest score in the mock?
118.
118 you were getting. Okay. And when you wrote first mock test, what was your score? 70, 80, 60?
105.
Wow. In first mock, you hit 100 plus.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And then,
First mock, I had 105. Then
mm-hmm.
then ma'am suggested I don't do the first five. So
Hmm.
I started with six, where I got 94.
Okay.
For the eighth, I got 97.
Okay.
And then I took up the 11th mock test, from
Mm-hmm.
where again my score started increasing. So the first mock test, I got a good score. Then for the next two mock tests, I didn't get a good score. And
Mm-hmm.
which is when I would review each section, where I've gone wrong and what was my mistake. I
Hmm.
went back and I studied those subjects again. And what I did realize, because of the mock and only because of the mock, was that um, because there were 150 questions in 120 minutes, in my head, I was actually getting a little hyper, and I was, uh, because of which I wasn't paying accurate attention to what I was doing.
Hmm.
In that uh in that want to complete the paper, I was making mistakes,
Okay.
and silly mistakes, very silly mistakes, which I
Hmm.
did eventually correct. Then I found my own method, that if I did GK first, logic second, if I did law third,
Hmm.
or maybe, and or law second, logic third, and then I went to English,
Hmm.
it was giving me a much better score as compared to if I was doing any other pattern. So it took me a little while, with the mock. So I did my own permutation combinations. I always did English last,
Hmm.
again, because uh, it was fairly, I could crack it. So I left English for the last.
Okay.
But I always did GK first because I would save up on time then. So mentally, then I would believe I have more time in hand.
Mm-hmm.
I did for a lot of the subjects, for a lot of the mocks, I would just glance through logic and law. If there is a lot of puzzle and seating arrangement, the logic chapter is lengthy, I'd finish law first and
Okay.
then go to logic and then go to English.
Okay. So order of attempt wise, if you are, I mean, if you understand, GK was the first, English you kept last, and you were
Yes,
switching between logic and legal second, third.
depending on what kind of a paper it is.
Ideally,
So
I don't recommend do English in the last. The reason behind it, you get less time, and in English you have to read the data, you have to understand, then you have to mark. So in the rush, if you are doing it, then there's a high probability that you mark wrong answer. So that is the reason I don't recommend to do the English section in the last. But it worked for you, you did it. So not an issue.
mm, yeah, maybe because when I was doing English first, वो
Mm-hmm.
लॉजिक में मेरे बहुत गलत आ रहे थे सर, क्योंकि लॉजिक में टाइम नहीं रह रहा था मेरे पास.
Mm-hmm.
So when I did GK, English, law, logic, मेरा at one point मेरा 12 marks का पेपर रह गया था. एक
Mm-hmm.
पेपर था जो मेरा 12 marks का रह गया था when I did this pattern.
Mm-hmm.
So and वो 12 मार्क्स का रह गया था तो रह गया था, पर लॉ लॉजिक में मेरी मिस्टेक्स बहुत हो रही थी, सिली मिस्टेक्स बहुत हो रही थी, बिकॉज समटाइम्स यू आर नॉट रीडिंग द एंटायर प्रिंसिपल एंड फैक्ट इन लॉ देन बिकॉज यू हैव लेस टाइम एट हैंड.
Correct. Correct.
मेरा 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 थोड़ा सा वो प्रॉब्लम हो रहा था.
Mm-hmm.
So then given the 16 mocks, this seemed to be the best permutation combination where my mistakes were the silly mistakes at least were the least.
Mm. So that is the best part of mock. No? You write the mock test so that you do all the mistakes in the mock so that we should not do any mistake in the
Absolutely,
actual.
absolutely. I feel,
Mm.
I'm really going to credit having so many mocks because each mock, to be honest, was different from the other.
Mm.
I obviously, because of lack of time, I couldn't do all 22 mocks that were released, which is
Mm-hmm.
why I would, starting the 6th to the 22nd, I only did every alternate one, so
Mm.
that the difficulty level kind of increases until the end, which is what I believed it would be. And rightly so, because each paper was different from the other.
Mm.
कहीं पे law ज़्यादा difficult था, कहीं पे logic was more difficult, somewhere logic was lengthier.
Mm-hmm.
There was one paper where there were 2 or 3 seating arrangement questions.
Mm-hmm.
So having to do that in that amount of time itself also was a challenge, not only because you had to maintain that accuracy as well,
Mm.
because one seating arrangement going wrong, you could get the entire thing wrong, and which happened with me,
Mm-hmm.
which did happen with me in the mock. But it only taught you how to be more efficient during the
Mm.
paper. And I feel because there was one lengthy paper, there was one paper where each section was difficult. There were papers like that. There were papers where maybe reading comprehension was difficult. There were 2 or 3 papers where even the English section was difficult.
Mm-hmm.
So I would go back then and practice the antonyms synonyms again. I would do reading comprehension from the book again. It only gave you the drive to go and do a certain chapter again, because a lot of times after you've studied it, you feel like, हाँ, ये तो मुझे आता है,
Right.
but it kind of gave you the reality check and it
Mm.
made you go back and it made you study again.
Mm.
And I think because of this, the actual exam definitely was much simpler. I
Mm-hmm.
finished, I think I finished 11 or 12 minutes earlier.
Okay, actual paper.
Actual paper, I finished about 11 or 12 minutes earlier. I could go back and I could check all of the answers that I had marked to review.
Mm-hmm.
I could go back and check all of that again. I changed 2 answers,
Mm.
and I rightly changed the 2 answers.
Okay.
One of which I very clearly remember was GK का एक answer था, about where was the first state where NEP 2020 was implemented.
Mm-hmm.
वो हमारे current affairs का, the weekly current affairs notes that were released, it was there in that.
Mm-hmm.
And I couldn't remember the answer, but in the end, with a calm mind, when I went back, because I had it to 11, 12 minutes, I actually gave the right answer then.
Nice. So these are the things, I mean, it is all about, CET is all about time management.
Yeah,
And
I would agree.
and obviously you have to write the mock test, then you understand where you are lacking, where you, I mean, how we can mold up your strategy when it's
Absolutely.
come to order of attempt. So all these things we learn from the mock test.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, for the last, I think about for the last 10 days, once I had done studying at least about 70-80% of the entire syllabus.
Mm-hmm.
All I have done was write one mock per day. In
Mm-hmm.
2 hours, I would write the mock. I would take about 4 hours to review the mock.
Wow.
I took much longer than, so I had seen one of your older videos where you had explained about how to
Attempt mock
schedule
test,
your
mock taking
mocks.
strategy. Yeah.
Yes, yes. And, that's when you had said that आप mock लिख रहे हो वो बराबर है.
Right.
मॉक लिखना एक बात है, पर उससे ज्यादा इम्पोर्टेंट मॉक चेक करना होता है.
Correct.
And
because when you analyze, you understand your mistakes.
yes,
Silly
and
mistakes, time mistakes, why
yes,
question. I mean, you made it, you mark it by consider, okay, it is the right option, but
yes,
it got wrong. So
yeah,
what is the concept which you have missed, why it is wrong, and
yes,
etc. etc. Yeah.
yeah. So that also really helped. I also made the entire schedule. You had given us there was a video that was released on YouTube, which actually said that if you started preparing 30 days before your
30 days planner,
actual,
yeah. That we
yes,
do every year, 30 days,
yes, the
45 days.
30-day planner. I actually copied that 30-day planner. I stopped every minute of your video, did the 30-day planner, and I wrote it down exactly the way you had explained.
Nice.
And to a large extent, I did try to follow it. Obviously, I couldn't give as many number of hours as was expected in those 30 days, given that I was working. But to the best possible extent, I tried to follow the chapters in the same format that you asked us to. Because even when we gave the actual exam, I did realize that the way the planner was given was on basis of importance and the basis of concentration of marks.
Weightage, right.
On the weightage of marks.
Correct.
Which is why doing a certain subject in the first week
Correct.
made more sense, like
Correct.
seating arrangement, because
Correct.
when you're doing it initially, I remember the first day I learned seating arrangement and I tried to solve the first 2 or 3 questions. It almost took me 45 minutes to do one. From there to bringing it down to 3 minutes. I had to keep doing those seating arrangements. And if I had done that in the 3rd week, I would have never been able to do it. Which is why that schedule also really helped.
Correct. Last question, Poonam. What tips or the suggestion you want to give to upcoming year aspirant? Obviously, don't start in last. That is the suggestion from my side.
That is the worst thing that can happen. The first thing I would say is please keep yourself updated. With what's happening on the CET cell, CET website. Subscribe to the Manoeuvre channel. You will get a lot of updates. So definitely do that. I think more than that, what I would land up saying is, and for me, and I'm not trying to say this because I'm on this podcast and it's being recorded, and I'm trying to say this only and only because this is an actual personal experience. Please get enrolled with Manoeuvre, because I think the method that you guys have cracked, maybe over the years, given CET, has really helped. I came in completely uninformed, and I'm not trying to be humble here because I've got a higher mark. I'm not trying to be modest here. I'm not trying to say this because I'm on the podcast. I am genuinely trying to say this, that I came in completely uninformed. I had no idea of what a CET was. I have never given an entrance exam before in my life. I didn't know what to expect. I did not know what it was. I was not even aware about the fact that we would have to give an entrance exam, because all of my peers, all of my batchmates who did law, I have friends who are lawyers, but when they did law, there was no entrance exam.
Hmm.
So
Correct.
I actually come from so I'm 31. I come from a 1992 born batch. We didn't have entrance exams back then. So even when I told my friends who've done 3-year law, they weren't aware that there was an entrance exam. You
CET
know,
itself started in 2016.
so all of my friends were already working by then.
Hmm.
So this was so new for me that
Hmm.
I just didn't know what I was getting into. And so like I said, for me the only thing was ki kuch nahi to kam se kam I'll get an experience and I'll work hard and I'll give one next year. I was prepared for that also.
But luckily this year happened, no? 99.58. So
I,
obviously,
I agree. I agree. And that was because I genuinely went through all of your videos. I took the planner from your YouTube video. I took the mock test preparation methodology from your video.
Mhm.
I completely trusted the notes, the books. I trusted the online material that was provided, and I
Mhm.
used it as my Bible. But
Wow.
when I did that, I did it with complete conviction. It wasn't कि अरे इसमें 10 चैप्टर दिए हैं तो हम 4 छोड़ देंगे. I didn't
Mhm.
do that. I studied selective material, but I
Mhm.
studied it thoroughly.
Nice.
And I feel
Mhm.
that uh, obviously don't start late. Start earlier because there's much less stress then.
Correct.
But the one thing I think I would end up saying is, because you're then enrolled with more experienced people in the industry,
Mhm.
study selective material, because there is no end to the syllabus.
Correct.
But whatever you do study it absolutely thoroughly, not because you're trying to mark it up for an examination, but
Nice.
understand it, because no matter what comes in the exam, then you will always know a way of doing it.
Correct.
So,
I think this is the longest podcast this year I have taken. More than half an hour. But yeah, it
wow.
was nice discussion, nice interacting with you. Lots of
Thank you, sir.
information I got it from your side.
Thank you.
How you are switching your industry, that is another challenge,
Yes,
obviously.
sir.
I made many student, those whose age is 35, 40, they want to learn law, they come here for the entrance preparation. And
Yes.
I mean, really, I feel proud on them, because it is very difficult at the age of 40, 45, where you have a family, and then you want
Yeah.
to prepare again for the entrance, you want to go to
It
the
is
college.
difficult, sir.
I
Managing and multitasking, and not just that, but the fact that you're getting back to studying after
Hmm.
so long itself is a little bit of a challenge. Because you're so used to hustling at work that
Right.
sitting down and focusing for that
Hmm.
many hours in education is something we've lost touch with.
Hmm. Hmm. So that's all, guys. In this podcast, Poonam explained a lot more thing about her journey, about the industry, and what work experience she have, and how this law idea came in her mind, and how she prepares CET, crack CET. Now, finally, we are going into GLC. That's all. Keep watching all the podcasts, learn from the podcast, implement the same thing in your preparation. You can also crack CET. It is not a rocket science. You can also get into the GLC, AILET, or whatever law colleges you are targeting in Maharashtra. Uh, Poonam, once again, congratulations for
Thank you
99.58
so much.
percentile.
And thank you, sir. I feel your class is doing some fabulous job.
Thank you.
Uh, you're really bringing comfort to students, and I think that I feel is something that you guys are able to provide more than just the books or the material. It's the comfort, reassurance, and confidence.
Mm-hmm.
Because if that's not there, I don't think it is the fifth subject that children need to be taught to be
Correct.
able to pass, and that's the touch that Manoeuvre is giving. So
And
thank
that's
you so
happened
much.
because, yeah, you're welcome. That's happened because since 2017, we are writing CT every year. Myself write CT every year because there is no paper out. This year, they have released the answer key first time.
Mm.
Now it is better, like I don't have to go to the examination center and I mean, whenever I go to the center, the student, you are there, sir, मेरे बाजू में बैठना, आप मुझे ये आंसर बता देना ये. This happened with Ajaz sir also, with me also.
Yeah.
But that is the main reason we got the gist of the CET, and same thing we introduce in the curriculum, so that students should study relevant. Any changes happen in the last moment, we immediately guide them. This is the changes, we should ready for it.
That's true. That's true.
So look, all the very best for your career.
Thank
And
you.
it was very healthy conversation with you.
Thank
And
you. Thank
yeah,
you.
that's all.
Thank you
Chalo.
so much, sir.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you.